Thursday, FT. How we doing? Pierzynski, Kratz, Braun. So I just came off Fair Territory, AJ, with your buddy Ken. And he had just put out a story on Ketel Marte. We're not going to spend a whole segment on it. We've spoken about him enough. But he does have a new story, and there's some good new details out in there. I encourage everyone to check out Fair after our show for a good 10 minutes on some things that I guarantee you don't know. And AJ, that includes some teammates behind the scenes, kind of been like typical Ketel. I know some have publicly come out and defended him. But the question I had for you is, what is the food room for players? And I ask this because within the story, it mentions how he'll sometimes have his friends join him in the food room to hang out and eat.
What do you mean friends? Like just friends off the street?
Friends not on the team. Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Oof. Yeah, that's
guys.
I've very rarely seen that happen. I've very rarely seen. I listen, kids, dads.
Oof.
Yes, but just random friends? No.
Yeah. Random friends.
I need it. You can take me off. I'm going to go read Ken's article right now. I'm mad.
I'm telling you, it's the best article I've probably read this year in terms of getting really inside what's going on. You don't get every single detail yet. That'll still come out, right? But like who he is, how he was telling teammates like, oh, you don't need me right now because he wasn't playing well. And then he retreats when there's certain moments hitting him, and he stayed in the hotel room and wouldn't come out. Like it's not like this crazy drama. I mean, it is drama, but it's not like they're getting him fights or whatever. It's just he disappears. Teammates are pissed, and there is a level of star treatment. It is like the perfect story to explain how this is a business. And for them, they're going 3x surplus value on this player. We got to put up with the crap. That's what I got out of it.
No. And listen, I think Ketel Marte is really good player, but can I just say this? He's not Barry Bonds. He's not Miguel Cabrera. He's not. I'm not saying. Listen, Miguel Cabrera was not like that, but I mean, I played with Barry Bonds. I saw what he did, right? But he was also, the best hitter I've ever seen by far, right? He's not. I played with Adrian Beltre in the Hall of Fame. He would never have done this in a million years. I played with, who on the Red Sox, David Ortiz. He wouldn't do this. He wouldn't have random people sitting in the lunchroom with us. Now, if you went to the hotel bar after a game, would David have a lot of people? Yeah. But the clubhouse is supposed to be kind of one of those places where you don't do this. It's supposed to be just for people that have earned their way there. Now, dads, sure. Kids, absolutely. People off the street before guys get there. It's very hard to bring guys in there once the stuff starts, because that's when you start getting tight for the game. So was this before the game? Again, I haven't read Ken's article. After the game,
yeah.
Still, it's like, if you're on the road and you've got to catch a bus and you have 7 random people, I don't even know how many it was, 3 random people sitting there. Every guy on that team, and I think Kratz would agree with me on this, is going, who the hell's that guy? Who's that person sitting there? Like who's random guy going for his 3rd time through the buffet line?
I loved one of the best lines ever. Anybody could say it, American or Latino. They'd be like, somebody random or like a pitcher gets in the line before the guys who play. They'd be like, oh, shocker, first in line, didn't even play. Like, don't be a spread killer. Definitely don't bring spread killers into the spread room. That's for sure.
And 3rd time through is not allowed in our sport anymore. You can't go 3rd time through in anything. What are you talking about?
But by the way, I've told this story before. Mookie, when he first got called up, Mookie Betts with the Red Sox, we were there, and his cousin was in the – this is before a game. He's just crushing a beer, and we're all like, who in the hell is this guy? Random guy. This is after the chicken and beer stuff in Boston. Who's this random guy crushing beers before the game? It was Mookie's cousin. He didn't know any better. Someone told him. Mookie didn't do it anymore, right? But it's just someone has to – apparently no one has ever told Ketel. Maybe Ketel thinks he's able to do this. I don't know. It's just crazy that this is what's coming out now.
Yeah. I cannot encourage people enough to read the story, but also to check out the 10 minutes in Fair later on.
Also, Scott, hold on. we talked about it yesterday. You weren't on, but Kratz and I talked about it. Torey Lovullo. He's like, how can we soften the blow back in? Soften what blow? He's the one that left the team. He's the one that didn't have an explanation. What blow is there to soften? Like, make him, I said this a couple days ago, make him apologize, and he's got to mean it, because otherwise, guys in that room, they look at you differently. Am I wrong, Kratz?
No, you're not wrong at all. And we were not wrong when we were saying Torey Lovullo had to come to his aid and say things. Oh, he's not, there's no issue with him as a teammate. Liar. Clearly liar, if this is what's coming out.
That to me is part of the problem too. It's like, it's one thing to not say much, but if you're trying to talk him up, and I know, right, he's not, yelling at people, he's not picking fights, whatever, but there are different layers of being a good and a bad teammate. And I wanted to ask you guys that right from the jump, because Ken and I talked about it from what we observed from the reporting perspective. Yeah, I don't see random people sitting around in a food room hanging out. That's not a thing.
I'm scared.
On Dad's Day,
Scott,
sure.
Scott, I'm scared to death as a guy that played for almost 20 years in the big leagues. I walk into the clubhouse and I have my Fox, my rights holder's badge on. I'm scared to death to like stand in the wrong place or be in there too long, or I would never sit in a chair. I remember I was somewhere, I think it was spring training, and I think it was Ashcraft or one of them was like, hey, come sit down next to me at the Pirates. And I'm like, dude, I would never do that in a million years, sit in a chair of one of the players. Like, no chance, dude. If one of the guys said, hey, come grab lunch with me in the food room, I'd be like, hell no, dude, I'll go to McDonald's.
That's exactly what we talked about to a T on Fair with Ken. Like, we passed the food room, and man, that is the player space and up some staff members. So let's charge.
Charging the mound.
Why are we starting with the Reds and Giants? Well, I'll tell you. First off, there was a crazy comeback. Second of all, Tony Vitello went off at the beginning of the game. And third of all, one of the big hits was a Eugenio Suarez grand slam from Cincinnati, and he might be on another ball club in the next couple of days. Yes, the dump deadline is nearing, and Eugenio Suarez and or TJ Friedl might be coming to another team near you. Now, they might not get claimed, but do you want to start with the game, or do you want to start with the fact that the Reds might be able to save a little bit of cash over the next couple of days?
Well, let's start with the game, because it was a crazy game. Let's start with that, and then we'll go from there. Because I think the game was crazy, because it was, 6-0, and they were up 6, and they scored 7 in the ninth, including a Eugenio Suarez grand slam. So I think that, and Tony Vitello getting ejected, and I don't know. That was a crazy game. I mean, I know it's two teams that aren't going anywhere, but here's the no check swing, and just think, if they call that a check swing, maybe Eugenio Suarez doesn't get the chance to hit that grand slam. I don't know.
I mean, Tony said he had enough. He didn't want to see this game, and he was right. He didn't know what to expect coming out. But hey, we'll have check swing challenges coming up soon. So in a few years. But to me, the comeback, I love seeing the fight out of a team that is out of it. Obviously, I'm not saying that they think they're out of it, but the Reds are out of it. Whether they think or not, when they made the move, when the front office made the move to save $3,700,000 by putting Friedl's $700,000 up for the last month of the season and Eugenio Suarez is $3 million up, the front office is out of it. It kind of sucks, because after a game like this, like you pushed hard. They're not thinking they're going to make the playoffs. I get that. But as a player, you never give up. And it feels like the front office gave up for, in my opinion, what comes down to a very small sum of money.
Yeah, it was a weird trade deadline. They didn't really do anything. And people were like, you didn't get any calls or offers for any of these guys. And it sounded like they did, but it wasn't what they wanted, right? Like, maybe it's a prospect they didn't really value. And I'm like, isn't somebody who's even close to your radar better than nothing? Especially when you're trying to say, oh, well, they're better off with us. I mean, are they better off with you? Because you're not in it this year. So if you were selling and you're trying to sell, I don't know every conversation going on behind the scenes, AJ, but now you're willing to give up players like that for nothing, right? That's just a salary dump at this point. It's okay. I mean, they're not in it. So
Yeah.
if it's going to save them a few, like Eugenio Suarez is getting $3 million the rest of the year, and maybe a team like Seattle, or we talked about Milwaukee before the show. I don't know if that's totally a fit. I know Gino's having a bad year. And then Friedl is having a really bad year, but maybe, and if those two do get picked up, it would save the Reds almost $4 million, and you would hope they spend that on someone else in the offseason.
Will they, though? That's the $7 billion question or whatever. That's why we're about to have a collective bargaining problem. But why would Seattle not pick up this guy? They love this guy. They can get him for $3 million for the last month, even if he's a bat off the bench. I mean, right now, I think last time I checked, J.P. Crawford was playing third. I'm not sure. The last time I did a Mariners game, he was playing third. So they lost Emerson, right? Why would they not? That seems like it almost seems too perfect. Therefore, it won't happen, right? That the Mariners wouldn't pick him up and say, "Hey, you've been here. We love you here. The fans love you here. Come give us a great month and hit some homers and try to get us back to the postseason and make another run."
Yeah, and yesterday, real quick, Kratz, Crawford was at short, right? So
yeah, because Emerson got hurt.
Yeah. Well, Emerson's out for the year, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Crawford can go back. Remember the story earlier this year, Crawford's like, hey, I'm down to do third. I want to be with the Mariners long term. I know we got Emerson and Cole Young coming through here. So now Emerson's out for the rest of the season. And, for example, yesterday, who was playing third base yesterday in that game against Philadelphia? I think
Weston Wilson.
Wasn't he on FT? Yeah, Wes Wilson,
Yeah.
right? Remember when he was first on FT after Weston Wilson, after he had a great story. But point is, and this is nothing against Weston, like Eugenio Suarez for a little bit of pop there, return to Seattle, find it again. Remember also how good he was during the regular season last year and had a couple moments in the playoffs. Might be worth $3 million if the Mariners can add him and make the playoffs.
$3 million. I don't know. I don't see anybody picking him up because of the price tag. Now, just because he's on waivers, people need to know he's not getting released. Like, he can stay with the Reds if nobody claims him. This is a waiver process. He's not being DFA'd. So nobody's going to pick him up for the league minimum. $3 million, though, like, are you going to give him, if you're the Mariners, are you going to give him all the DHs? Is he going to get all the DHs in Seattle? Is he going to go play third base over, like you said, Weston Wilson, over, whatever configuration they would have? For $3 million for a guy on the bench, I don't know. I don't know.
I think he might start at third base. I think he would be their starting third baseman from the jump.
So you're willing to give him all the at-bats and tell Weston Wilson or whatever. I'm not sure. See, I don't know enough of who has been at third. Like, who's their left-handed option when they face a righty at third?
Well, I mean, things have changed. That's what we're talking about. If everything's at full strength, it's J.P. Crawford. But Cole Emerson's out. And also he wasn't performing, and that was partially because he was hurt and then needed surgery. So this is where you start to run into depth issues, and you see if Gino can find something. I mean, over the last 5 years, one of the best power hitters in the sport. If you think he's still got it and can get a hot month for you as a very streaky hitter, just throwing it out there, it could be worth the risk. Can we show some of the other players who could be on waivers over the next couple of days? And the way this works is it's in reverse order of standings, but you can claim the player and you get them for no cost of prospects. You just pick up the player and you pick up the rest of his money. The Angels famously did this a couple of years ago. What was it, 3 years ago? The dump deadline that we called it on FT. This is Baseball Prospectus, throwing some other names out there. Luis Robert, Gleyber Torres, Kenley Jansen, Ryan Stanek, Caleb Ferguson, and Nolan Gorman from the Cardinals. Pierce Johnson and Brock Burke, two other names that the Reds could put on there. So these were just some other names that they threw out into the world to see if these are not players that were put on waivers that we know of yet. But this all has to happen, AJ, in the next few days. These are not nothing names. Like, some of these guys could make an impact, and some of them are making good money, and they're on teams that are not in it. Tigers are out, Mets are out, Reds are out.
Put Luis Robert on waivers and see if anyone claims him, and they can pick up the $20 million option next year instead of the Mets.
The Mets are going to pick it up. My lock for next year. Luis Roberts' option is picked up.
And he goes on the IL for at least a month.
I'm not saying it's a good choice. I'm just saying lock, picked up, team option.
If there's a full season.
Ryan Stanek, even on top of that, Ryan Stanek can't help a bullpen somewhere. I didn't look up what he would be charging a team to play. You think Kenley Jansen can't pick up a team, help him out in the bullpen? Now, obviously, he's a little bit different because he hasn't done much but closed. But Stanek can give you some innings, even if he's your fourth, fifth option out of the pen. As you come down the stretch here, there's plenty of teams whose bullpen stinks that could use a league average arm right now from what he's done, and he has a ton of experience.
Yep, exactly. Who says there's no trades in late August? You trade for nothing, right? A player to a team for nothing but picking up money. We'll see if that happens over the next couple days. Also, by the way, we have a Giants show, Splash Hit. We talked about the Reds and some of the players that they might shed over the next couple days. That's Riverfront territory with Mason C. Trent and Danny Graves, all part of the FT Network. QR code on the right side of your screen. Subscribe. Also part of the FT Network, Karl Ravech, Dirt from the Dugout, host, joining us next.
Bella, where? I don't know where Bella is, but I know how to take care of my pup.
Kratz, while you find Bella, today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans that can fit your budget, your lifestyle, and even your pet's particular quirks. Because let's be honest, vet bills can add up fast. And when it's time to submit a claim, it's easy. Just use their app and receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account so you can get back to focusing on what really matters, your pet. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Don't hear you.
Karl Ravech.
There you go.
You don't? I'm unmuted.
Now I do.
You got me? Okay.
Now you got
2 minutes, then Karl Ravech joins us on the TV Crowd show as well. YouTube, we were talking obviously during the breaks here. I just wanted to mention my AJ's, not mine, AJ's favorite stat, run differential. The Tigers are currently at plus 70, AJ, and the Astros, who might win the AL West, are at minus 48. The Phillies are at plus 23. The Pirates are at plus 24. So your favorite stat just keeps winning. I'm being super sarcastic with all of that. It's such a dumb stat. I hate seeing it on Standing Sports.
It's supposed to be a kind of a guesstimate on how your year's going. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, but it doesn't always happen that way. It just,
Unlucky.
You know what that means? You know what it means? It means you're either really good or really bad in blowouts.
Exactly. That's why it's such a dumb stat, because they do the Pythagorean record thing where they're like, well, the Tigers should be that. Well, they're not. It's late August. They're not. And also it penalizes.
They're better without Skubal and Mize.
Of course they are. And it penalizes, AJ, teams that have good bullpens. Because often you have a good bullpen, you're going to win the close games, right? Often you look at the one-run record and you're like, oh, of course, you're winning one-run games. Your run differential is not going to be as good. Stupid stat. I have to every few months just throw it out there.
My favorite is when teams have really good run differentials like the Brewers, and their expected wins, I just looked it up for the Brewers, they're supposed to have 84 wins instead of 82 wins. But the Tigers are supposed to have 74 wins instead of 62. So they're the most unlucky team ever. Keep the team the same. Don't build it next year.
Yeah, let's talk about Williamsport. We have more from the Little League World Series coverage presented by New York Life, the official financial guidance partner of Little League Baseball. And that's where you can hear, of course, Karl Ravech up there. He called the Little League Classic too for ESPN, and you can hear him on Dirt from the Dugout. I got a lot of promoting to do, Karl, before I get to you, because Dirt from the Dugout's just an incredible show. You guys have been off to a huge roaring start with all the great guests that you have. And I think it'll be something that people can look back to over months and months to listen back to the Theo Epstein episode, etc. How you doing? How's it going up there?
Yeah, it's going really well. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. I think we're coming out of the Little League break with Dave Roberts, which is another really good guest when you have the manager of the Dodgers and a multiple World Series champion. So, yeah, I mean, Dirt from the Dugout fits right in with what we're doing here at the Little League World Series, which is talking about youth sports and kind of putting an eye on the way things have been operating in the youth sports world. Another great Little League World Series. I know I've made no secret about it, being fortunate enough to cover Little League and College World Series and certainly the Major League World Series for forever. There is a joy about it. There's a fun about it. It is truly a world event, which makes it unique. And every year the stories are different. And I know most people focus on what Kinley Rasmus, who is obviously the daughter of Corey Rasmus and the niece of Colby Rasmus. So there's a lot of great tutelage growing up when you got major leaguers all over the place. And a brother-in-law of the family named Jeff Mathis, who played for forever. But she's been the story the same way 12 years ago. Monet Davis was the story. And Louis Lappy. Like, I can name most kids that people don't even know of, but up here, they're the big deal. So it's been a fun event, Ryan. Thank you very much. Kratz and AJ, how you guys doing?
Good. Carl, I just want to know, do they not have a driver for you? Can we not get, are you driving your own car?
I'm not driving, actually. I'm parked. I'm outside of a Planet Fitness. I mean, I'll pull the curtain back for you. I just had meniscus surgery on my knee. So after a game we had at 9 a.m. because of weather, which hasn't yet shown up. We went at 9 a.m. after finishing last night at 9:30. So we've already played our 2 games today. And now I'm here to kind of work on strengthening and getting flexibility and all that stuff in my knee. So I just rolled out to the lot to talk to you guys.
Perfect. We appreciate it. So Carl, the Little League World Series, I say this every time, is on every clubhouse in every big league stadium when it's on. I mean, everyone's watching it. Everyone's tuned in. The Rasmus girl, obviously Kinley, has been a huge story. What are the other huge stories in this? Japan, I saw, got no hit. And they came back and won their next 2 games. They're still alive. Is that the biggest story? The Curacao team? What's the biggest story besides Kinley Rasmus?
I would say it's, if you're really going to go kind of nuts and bolts on the event itself, it's probably the parity that we've seen. We've seen some historically great teams. There was a team from California in 2009 that had some giants on it, and they destroyed everybody else. A few years ago, Maine Enwell, a tiny town in upstate New York, won the whole thing. They became a story. I mean, the beauty of the Little League World Series is every year, there are new stories, and it's binge viewing for people, whether it's Major League clubhouses or people's homes with grandparents or parents or kids or teenagers. It doesn't really matter, but you've got to watch it 10, 11 days in a row. And by the end of it, all the work that we do in the beginning to start to learn names and learn players, you know them all. Like you know that a kid named Boone Treadway is going to play short. Now, you may not know that, but after being here for a week and a half, you start to know that. And he's going to be a central figure in all this. There's kids that look like they're going to end up playing high school ball and maybe college ball, and who knows, maybe they're the next Cody Bellinger and make it to the major leagues from the Little League World Series. There's a kid named Cooper Tisson who plays with Troy Tulowitzki's son, threw a no-hitter, hit a home run. He pulled an Ohtani in his game for Iowa, and they lost today, so they're going home. I think to your point, AJ, the stories change every year. You kind of have to invest in the event. But what was really neat was when you have Chris Sale being asked by a kid like Cooper Tisson during the Sunday night game, and they're all coming to Williamsport, the major leaguers from Milwaukee and Atlanta, and sitting up in the booth that we sit at and looking out, and whether it's Ronald Acuna or Matt Olson or Chris Sale or Jacob Mizorowski, like their level of awe, because very few of them made it here, their level of awe at the facility, the place, which I find to be magical in a lot of ways. And then the abilities of these kids. I don't know if you remember your level of play at 11 or 12 years old, but most of the time when you watch a kid like Tisson pitch or anybody else up here that's an ace, they sit there and say, like, even Mizorowski, like, nope, I didn't throw that hard. I didn't have those mechanics when I was 12 years old. So the biggest story always is, and I'm delighted about it, is I think, improvement, the growth, in kids playing baseball, boys and girls, whatever it takes to get them on a field. And the fact that it's worldwide, and we have kids from Nicaragua and South Korea, and as you said, Curacao. Ozzy Albies heard the national anthem for Curacao and had tears in his eyes. So the quality of play, the depth, the idea that it's worldwide, that Little League is growing, anything to get kids on a field and playing with teammates and learning about different cultures, learning about sportsmanship. As you know, I could go on and on about, I think, what are the values of youth baseball, and in particular, Little League through age 12.
Can you give us maybe not a breakdown, but just a comparison between Mo'ne Davis, what she meant to Little League, to now Kinley Rasmus? Yeah. Because now Mo'ne Davis is a lot older. We just saw her make a great play in an all-star game in center field. But in my area in Pennsylvania, Mo'ne Davis has been everywhere. And I mean, there's girls that talk about her. There's boys that talk about. Where is that with Kinley now? Not just being the next Mo'ne Davis, her being the next Kinley Rasmus.
Right. So I think, women's sports is obviously growing in popularity, rightfully so. These, whether they're girls or women in college or WNBA players, have tapped into a vein that prior to this recent, maybe 10 years, what wasn't really tapped into. I think now they've become much more of an accepted sport. Their ratings are really, really good. I think the challenge for somebody like Kinley Rasmus is there was a Mo'ne Davis, and there had been other women that had played girls at the Little League World Series. Nobody had ever done or achieved or accomplished what Mo'ne Davis did. So she was the first to throw shutouts, to beat guys routinely on the mound. That's new territory, clearly. So the challenge, similarly, for somebody like Caitlin Clark, who follows whether it's Diana Taurasi or Rebecca Lobo, you've already had a ball raised by girls or women. It's very difficult to sort of reestablish this connection. It's almost a reminder as opposed to reestablishing something. It's a reminder that there has been a Mo'ne Davis. It is a reminder that a girl like Kinley Rasmus is as good as 95% of the boys that were on the field here this year at the Little League World Series. But it's not new. It's not novel. It's, oh yeah, we did see that act, and this one may be better. I'm not sure that there's a reason to compare them other than that they both were on the mound as good as nearly every other pitcher that was here. Rasmus pitched as well as anybody else here, and I mean that in didn't overpower you with 70-mile-an-hour fastballs. She pitched shutouts. She was phenomenal. She was sort of Greg Maddux, at his prime. She just moved the ball up and down, and she's got all sorts of incredible tutors and teachers who are helping her do that. So I think that's the answer. I think Rasmus overall is a better player. She hit the ball better than Mo'ne. But again, Mo'ne was the real trailblazer in showing everybody that a girl can be as good as a boy at the highest level of amateur youth baseball. Rasmus was a reminder we've seen it before, and this girl is spectacular.
You've had an incredible journey doing these games and obviously big league games. When you're at the Little League World Series and maybe your last year doing it, what is the team that you look back on and go, that is the best team, or that was the best moment through these years?
Excuse me. Yeah, I would say that, when you come here for the first time, and my first time was back in 2006, you've never been exposed to international Little League until you come here. And then you start to realize, gratefully, that baseball is a universal language. And just because you're from Japan, you're from South Korea, wherever you're from, you understand what the heck we're doing. We're playing baseball. There is a way to communicate about the game. But when you've never seen it, and then you go on the field and you see some of these kids, as you're watching there from Japan, make plays defensively, you're reminded that while it's a universal language, and everybody can communicate on the same level, it doesn't mean that they practice the same way. It doesn't mean that they prepare the same way. It means that there's a bat, a ball, and a glove, and a field, and 4 bases, and there's a walk and a strikeout and homers, etc. But when you watch the kids from Japan take infield, when you watch the discipline of those kids, when you see what we just saw there, like a team from Canada, who was, when I started, 0-2, and we're gone. Like, we're going back to Canada. Now they made it all the way to a Thursday game. Like, they're that good. The most rewarding part of this, and I'm not avoiding the question, it's more of the development of Little League baseball. Australia has gotten much better. That's ultimately the goal, is to grow the game here. But I would say that the thing I will take away from it is to remind people, as good as we think we are in this country, there are teams in Japan and South Korea. You guys know it. You played against them all the time. Ohtani, maybe the best player we've seen ever at the major league level. He's not from Nebraska. He's not from Iowa. So at this youth level, to see those kids do what they do with the precision and the power they have. This year, Kratzy, there's been one team, I think, that hit 6 home runs. That's Japan. No one else has more than 2 or 3. So they're sort of a preeminent power. And that's really what I'll take after all the years here, along with the joy and what Little League, to me, is all about. You know, the fun, the joy, the smiles, the laughter, the ability to flush a loss or an error. That's what it's all about.
Karl, I love what you just said, because we used to always say, when you're talking to your kids about things, you know what, 12-year-old kids, they're not going to remember this game 45 minutes after. We, as parents, my kid went 0 for 4. These kids, if you don't bring it up, 30 minutes after the game, they're talking about Xbox and PlayStation and ice cream and pizza. They don't care that they went 0 for 4 and punched out 3 times. They made the error. It doesn't matter, because they're kids, right? And they move along. And I think that's one of the best parts about Little League in baseball at that age. So when you start getting into high school and it gets a little more serious, there's bigger implications. But what I want to know from you, Karl, is how important is it that we keep doing the Little League Classic with major league players? You saw the reaction to Miz walking around, Acuna walking around, right? These guys get a chance to be rewarded, not only for making it to Williamsport, but then they get to see their heroes up close and personal. And for the players, they get to see these kids that are so awesome.
Yeah. Now, again, I apologize. I'm doing Little League games every night, and I didn't check the box scores. How have the Braves done the last couple of days? You guys know the Braves winning. They playing the Dodgers.
I'm in Atlanta.
Is that who they're playing?
Yes.
Karl, I'm in Atlanta for the game
Braves
tonight
doing?
for Fox. So they've won the first
beat
2 against the Dodgers.
Okay. So the answer to that question, I think, lies twofold. As Eduardo Perez made the point, the Braves were scuffling when they got here. And I think for the adults in the room, meaning the Braves and the Brewers, there's a lot of positives that can come from hanging around kids. As you just touched on, oftentimes it's the parents who are driven crazy by the kids, because the kids aren't as pissed off as the parents are that we lost the game. And the kids aren't, really upset that I went 0 for 3, but dad and mom might be Rip City. In the case of the Braves, this may have been the ultimate reset. You come, you're surrounded by kids, nobody's upset, everybody's laughing, you're looking at kids sliding down hills. Those that are in the family are watching, but some of them are eating ice cream. Like, really? Like, this is a county fair and baseball. We're not stressing the details. I think the Atlanta Braves, and I know Ronald Acuna was a pig in slop. I mean, his smile was unbelievable. And he sat there knowing the way that he grew up, knowing on some of the fields that he played, and he's looking out at this thing that looks like it's like the Augusta of Little League fields, and he was so happy and so relaxed. And if you remember that Sunday night game, stole a base, got up, raised his hands like a little leaguer would. It's a reminder of why the hell we all started to be involved with this game, why we played it. So the answer to your question, on the first level, it is critical for the teams that come here to embrace it, to enjoy it, to maybe take something from it, which I think the Braves did. And subsequently, you cannot have a better environment for the little leaguers. It is the bonus baby for getting here. We get to mingle with Mizorowski and Acuna and Sale and Olsen. And Yelich, like, we actually get to ride on a bus and ask questions. Heck, I think one of the kids asked Acuna for his gold necklace, and Ronald, I think, said, "I'll see you after the game." That's probably a $200,000 necklace. I don't think he gave it to him, but the idea that you're talking to people you idolize and never get that close, and that the major leaguers can benefit from it. I'm delighted it's continuing next year with the Blue Jays and the Cubs. I think personally, it's the best event that they do non-traditional, and I know they do a lot of them, and the Field of Dreams is great. And the other games they've played, I've been to military bases. I've been to Korea with Major League Baseball. The Little League Classic checks every single box and serves purposes for everybody that watches and everybody that participates.
Karl, before we let you go, I just have to say this as somebody that has been around baseball, obviously a long time. Thank you. I just want to say thank you. There's really nothing else that I can say to you. Growing up watching baseball tonight every night, and then getting to be on Baseball Tonight as a player, when you got to hear Karl Ravech say, "Hey, AJ Pierzynski hit a home run," right? Or things like that, it meant the world to us as players. So I don't know what the future holds for you. I don't know what's going to happen with you, but the way you've handled all this, it's gone down. I just want to say thank you, because it's pretty awesome that you are still a part of it. You still love the game this much. You still love the kids this much. And the fact that you're there doing what you're doing with the situation that's going on, I just want to say thank you. And I'm humbled that you're a part of our network, and I'm honored that you're a part of our network. So, Karl, from me to you, from my kids, from my family, thank you for everything you've done for the game of baseball.
Thank you, AJ. That does mean a lot. I mean, as I've said here, when you do a Baseball Tonight show, as you guys know, you're in a box. I mean, you're in a studio, and you have 3 camera people, and you have a researcher, and I got, John Kruk or Harold Reynolds or Peter Gammons or Dave Campbell or any number of 100 plus analysts I've sat next to. You don't know the connection that over 25 years of Baseball Tonight you're forming with the audience and then with the players. And I am honest to God humbled to hear a player say that. I was humbled to hear Chris Sale say that. And obviously, Garrett Mitchell sort of got it rolling, and subsequently general managers and others have reached out and said thank you. And again, I appreciate that. I was doing a job. It was a job and it is a job that I love to do. I don't know what happens next, but I know this, that I love the game. I love the kids, and I've had a great amount of respect for what you guys do. And I hope it's come across, and based on the feedback I get from somebody like you and others, I have the utmost respect for playing and succeeding at the hardest game there is in the world to play. So thank you. That means a lot. All of the nice things that have been said mean a great deal, but I did it because I love it, and I want to continue to do it. And I'm grateful for Foul Territory, for having Dirt from the Dugout on, and of course our platform, the Parent Dugout. I think we can continue to make differences in this game, and succeeded in doing that apparently on some small level, doing it for 33 years. And the next chapter will involve continuing to try to make sure this game grows and grows in the right way. So thank you very much. I've been touched, and I never expected this. Never.
Yeah, it means a lot, right? To all facets of the sport, right? Players, fans, people that work in the sport. So, I mean, my last note on this too, Karl, just to chime in from the fan broadcaster side, is one of my favorite phrases in baseball is soundtrack of the summer. That's what people will say, whether they listen on the radio, TV. To me, that was,
sure.
You on Baseball Tonight and at the games and everything else over the years. So it's just like, whether you're dialed in and watching every moment, or it's just sitting there on, right? It's like, it's part of your summer experience where you might be hanging out in the backyard with someone, and it's on.
Right.
Baseball Tonight's on. So yeah,
listen,
I think there's a nostalgia factor that's hitting for a lot of people too when this stuff pops up.
Also,
I appreciate that.
Also, Karl, let me say this: like, when you get first called up, and you were like, you do something cool, you're like, will I make top 10 on Sports Center? Will I make web gems on Baseball Tonight? Right. So to hear that was a huge deal, because back then there was no other channels. And if you were on,
Amen.
You were on
That's
Baseball Tonight, I mean, you were getting calls, and, oh my gosh, I actually saw you on TV. Like Karl Ravech talked about you. Harold Reynolds talked about you, right? Dave Campbell, those guys. That was what was so awesome about it. And that's why we kind of paralleled when I came up. It was kind of hitting big, right? And even a little bit before. So it was just incredible. So again, I can't
appreciate
it.
You
were kind of part of my life.
Thank you. It's not lost on me. I know it's not lost on you guys, as you've seen, and we've all seen the media landscape change. Like ESPN has been a rocket ship. I was lucky enough to be on it when it was climbing to the moon, and we were the only game in town. It's quite obvious we're not the only game in town. I think that's great for somebody who might be looking for an opportunity, but we were the benefactor of being the place where you tuned in '98 for the home run derby, and we were the place, in 1996 when the Yankees started their run. Your game ended in whatever market you were watching, and you flipped over to ESPN to see how the other teams were doing. In a lot of ways, it predates phones. It predates the idea that you could just dial up a highlight at your fingertips. Like, all those things didn't exist. So we have to understand we're in a different time and a different world. And I guess for a 61-year-old like I am, to be a part of nostalgia does make you feel old, but that may very well be what's going on with many people who watched. If you started watching baseball tonight when you were 10, and I'm let go now, you're 43. Like, you've been through every level of school. You've had children, and maybe they've gone through college. So I appreciate that. I understand, the accumulators of the world. And for 33 years, I was allowed into living rooms and other parts of people's homes, and now on tablets and phones. So again, I'm grateful for it. That's not why I'm here to do this, but it's certainly been a big and nice surprise for me to do that.
Yeah, it does not go unnoticed, and it hits home, during a time like this for everyone, right? From, first when you remember hearing it and all the way through now, all the years of the games and Little League, of course. So, Karl, it means a lot. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to catch up with you and have fun out there.
Good to be on. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. That's Karl Ravech. Couple things. First of all, the segment brought to you by New York Life. They know the importance of celebrating milestones. They're giving you the opportunity to commemorate your first MLB game, if that's for you, with a special lineup card certificate. Go take the kiddo to a game. You can also enter to win a trip for two to a 2026 World Series game. Winners receive access to the field before the game, which is sick. You watch batting practice, round trip flight, and hotel accommodations included. Please see official rules for complete details. Visit MLB.com/myfirstgamesweeps for more information. And one more shout out at the finish line here for Mr. Ravech and his show, Dirt from the Dugout, along with Justin Musil. There's DeRosa on there, but there have been so many other fantastic guests from, like he mentioned, Theo Epstein to now coming up, Dave Roberts. Go check it out. Those are timeless interviews that they're racking up on their YouTube channel and wherever you get your pods. Dusty Baker, Dustin Pedroia, the list goes on.
One of the things that I wasn't very good at was playing Major League Baseball. One of the things that I'm really good at is sweating. Even now, when I'm not playing, I need hydration. I need to make sure it's convenient. That's why I choose Quince.
Yep, Quince electrolyte stick packs to the rescue, Kratz. They taste great, and the zero sugar options are stevia-free. They're keto approved, naturally sweetened with fermented rice. And like everything Quince does, they're thoughtfully made and priced well at $20 for 30 servings. They're less than half of the leading brand. Give your body what it really needs to stay hydrated. Go to quince.com/foul for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/FOUL for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/foul. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Hey, if we can, a minute on the Brewers and a minute on the Mets. Yes. Oh, a little Quince action for you.
Long flight this morning, Scott. Quince me.
Got you. Citrus salt.
And unlike you, I won't choke when I drink it. Or because you were laughing. Either one.
Oh, sorry that you make me laugh. Dustin May, by the way, not funny. You can laugh about it now because he ends up being okay, it sounds like. But, I mean, leaves after a pitch. Right scapula contusion, pitch off his shoulder. And that was 106 exit velocity off the bat of A.J. Ewing, Kratz. So Robert Gasser to the rescue, but it worked out for Milwaukee.
Dustin May got hit by a Jacob Mizorowski fastball. Like, that's what it feels like, 106. I mean, first pitch of the game, too. He's lucky it didn't hit his arm. It hit kind of the meat right in your lat there. So that was, I'm sure he has got a nice bruise today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, perceived velocity for the Miz, 107. If you listened to Tom Verducci on FT yesterday, catch that one if you didn't. And then also, AJ, Chelsea James was writing about Andy Green, who's doing a pretty good job with the Mets, but it doesn't sound like he'll be their manager next year. It sounds like he might want to be their general manager under David Stearns.
Wow. Good for him. Good for him if this happens. Yeah. They've said all along he wasn't going to be the candidate for manager next year. Everyone seems to think it's going to be Carlos Beltran. We've had people on here say that he's a leading candidate for that job, but Andy Green right to the front office. I like it. Get players in positions of power.
So he can be like, hey, Pete Alonso's actually really good.
No. Pete stinks.
Hey, remember the other day we talked about how Jon Berti was calling it a career after 8 seasons in the bigs at 36 years old? Well, here he is joining us right now, the young man who now enters the world after playing Major League Baseball his entire life. Speedster, great career. Jon, great. Thanks for joining us. We've had you on as a current player. Does it feel weird now to be introduced that way?
No, not really. Honestly, I feel like I've been adjusting pretty good, but yeah, it's definitely a different lifestyle for sure.
Take us through that part. So what led to the decision? Obviously, going through your career that had, I think, a lot of cool storylines to it. What was your thought process just over the last few months to be like, okay, this is the time where I'm going to say, cool, I've done what I wanted to do, and I'm going to spend some time at home?
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of things that ended up being, truthfully, the WBC was an awesome way to kind of finish my career. And as you guys know, former players, of what it takes to put the work in every day. And it just was less and less appealing to me. And for a guy like me, who loves the grind normally, that kind of was a telltale sign for me that it was probably time to hang him up.
What team will you remember yourself as? What are you, a Blue Jay forever since you kind of had that chip on your shoulder in the bushes?
I mean, it's a great question. Something I really haven't thought about too much. Obviously, most of my pro career was in the Blue Jays organization. Most of my big league career was with Miami, but was on a team that went to the World Series with New York. So, yeah, I mean, probably a Blue Jay or a Marlin, I guess, just from spending the most time there.
All right. What's your favorite memory then? I mean, this is easy. This is the easy questions that we're getting to. Then we'll get to the tough ones later.
So, well, that's the thing. So, coolest memory would be probably being a part of a World Series team, right? That went being a Yankee and going to a World Series. But one of my favorite memories, I guess, outside of making my debut or first big league hit or homer, would be probably the 2023 season, just because being on the Marlins and putting together a playoff team through 162 games was pretty special. And I had a good year offensively, and we had a great year as a team. And so that was probably clinching. We were in Pittsburgh to clinch. And then, so yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
Jon, did you go back and forth at all? Was this an easy decision? I know it's never easy to walk away, but did you go back and forth and think, you know what, I could do this again?
So truthfully, after I got let go by the Cubs, I kind of was just like, you know what, I think I might be done. I almost didn't play in the WBC. My wife was like, hey, like, it's a fun opportunity. You should probably just do it. And I was like, all right, fine. So kind of pushed myself the past off season to make sure I was in shape and ready to go. And one of the best decisions I ever made. So I'm grateful my wife made me do it. Played for Team Italy in the WBC, and shortly after the WBC, I was like, man, like I know I can still do this. Like I can be a productive player. So I came home, was training a little bit, trying to stay ready. Had some opportunities and some offers, but nothing that ever really fully enticed me. And then, so I kind of, I guess, went back and forth at that point. But once I kind of realized like nothing sounded interesting, that it was probably time to hang it up.
You made your debut at 28, and now you have 8 seasons. Now, do you have full 8 seasons? The reason I ask is, will you get your gold card, or did you get your gold card?
I will not get my gold card. So
short.
I'm short of 8 seasons, but the most guys that I've talked to that have their gold card have never used their gold card. You know what I mean? Like, it's a cool thing to have, obviously, and something that I would have loved to have gotten. But, you know, I've played enough, been in enough big league games that, you know, I don't need to go to a big league game anytime soon.
John, I have a gold card. I've never used it. I'm just telling you.
I know, but it's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, but when people when they started showing them like on Instagram and Twitter, people ask me, "Hey, do you have one of those?" And I know I have one, but I don't really know where it is. I had to go find it. I had to go digging around to try to find it, because in mine, how about this? Mine is so old it's signed by Bud Selig. It's not even signed by Rob
That's
Manfred.
awesome.
So mine's so old it's a Bud Selig. Maybe I could sell it like on eBay or something and get some extra money.
Is it a solid piece there? Or is it paper from back then?
No. It's solid. I mean, I don't think it's gold, but it's solid something. It's solid gold plated, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find it. I'll have to bring it on at some point. It's I don't know.
But you know enough guys, obviously, and not even if you weren't doing what you're doing, you know enough guys. Like if you really wanted to go to a game, I'm sure you could get a ticket for somebody.
Yeah, no, I know. I need tickets tonight, so I'm at the Braves Dodgers game tonight, and I need tickets. So my son's coming to the game, so I had to, thank God I played for the Braves. Picked up the phone, called the PR guy. Hey, I need some tickets tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So it is a good thing, especially you play for a bunch of teams. You start meeting people, as you know.
For sure.
What will you miss most? Was it the locker room? Is it the clubhouse? Is it the bus trips, flights? What do you think you'll miss the most?
That's the only thing I miss right now is the things you had just mentioned. It's being around the guys every day, the clubhouse, the plane rides, the bus rides, all that fun stuff. But the actual playing of the game, I haven't missed just yet. I'm sure at some point I'll look back on it, but you know, it was a few weeks ago. I woke up. It was a Sunday morning, and I was hanging out with my daughter, and it's like 9 a.m. and I was like, what would I be doing right now if I was still playing? I'd be like, well, I'd probably be heading to the field, if not already at the field for a Sunday day game. It's like 95 degrees out. Probably had just played a Saturday night game. So running on low sleep. It's the grind of August. I was like, that doesn't sound very good. So I'm good. So that was kind of at the point also just being like, you know what? I think it's time to move on.
That's awesome. That you'll have no regrets. You'll have no regrets. You'll enjoy it. You mentioned the clubhouse, or maybe AJ mentioned the clubhouse. It just came out, and it's in Ken Rosenthal's article. Ketel Marte had friends come into this food room. Talk about some of those things that you saw when you played that you were like, wait, what? When I found out about this, I was like, you can't have your buddies in the food room, let alone take a to-go box for your wife to eat the food from the spread room. But what were some of the things that you saw, and comment on that?
I had not heard that story. And if you could tell by the look on my face, I'm pretty shocked by that I had never seen. The only time I had ever seen maybe something like that, I guess, was when I was in high A back then. Dunedin Blue Jays was the high A team. It was probably around 2013, and Jose Reyes was on a rehab assignment, and he walked in with like 6 dudes that were just part of his entourage. That one had the music, one would grab him drinks or food or something like that. And I'm just like, man, is that what the big leagues is like? Did you just get like 4 or 5 of your closest buddies just doing whatever for you? But obviously that's not the norm. But no, I didn't hear about Marte having guys, his buddies in the clubhouse. I had heard of guys taking food post game, maybe for a to-go box for their wife or something like that. But that's probably the extent of it.
All right, what do you think the state of the game is right now as far as like how you feel like these next round of CBA negotiations or all this talk about parity?
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, I don't think a salary cap is necessarily the way to go. There's a lot more that goes into it. Obviously, you know, as a fan, as a former player, just interested to see what happens. Obviously, I'm not privy to a lot of those conversations anymore. As for the game itself, players seem to be better than ever, throwing harder, running faster, hitting the ball harder. I just hope that we continue, to reinforce a lot of the fundamentals of the game and a lot of the small things that I know at the kind of the youth level, it sounds like from what I'm understanding is kind of getting lost along the way. But players' abilities are a lot better now than I feel like they were than even when I played. Guys are really good, but I also hope from an analytics standpoint, I think sometimes we go a little too far in that realm. And I would hope that analytics is a great thing and can be a great tool, but I think baseball in general can get too far to that side and would love to see it kind of come back a little bit towards the middle, where some of the other things kind of weigh in as well.
John, you can't say from when I played. You played less than a year ago, so until that, although you got
I guess
released
I meant
about
more
a year
so
ago.
from when I was coming up in the minor leagues. I guess I'll say.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
what I'm more so on that. Yeah.
When you grinded it through Dunedin and
Correct.
Dennis Holmberg and Omar Malave and the mate,
There you go.
all the Blue Jay historic coaches. But you said about the salary cap, and even with the way your career went, you were never going to be, because of your advanced age that you made it up to the big leagues, you were never going to be one of those top echelon makers of money. You were never going to make tons of money, even though you were a good piece of any team you were on. With a salary cap, Major League Baseball is saying, well, John, you would actually have made more money in your career. Do you still feel the same way if you knew you could have made an extra $1 million or $2 million during your career?
That's the issue is I don't know if that's the case. You know what I mean? I don't know if a salary cap necessarily solves that. I do think that, I think there was a stat at one point. I might have been going through COVID, so I don't know how accurate it is, but it was like 60% of the big leagues was making $1 million or less, but the big league average salary was like $4.5 million or something like that. So I do think an average player should, be able to command $4, $5, $6 million a year or whatever it might be, which might not be the case right now. So I just don't know how to solve that, and I don't know, and I don't necessarily believe a salary cap solves it the way maybe that the owners want you to think it will.
Oh, it's going to be a fun combo. Yeah, great answer. It's going to be a fun combo. It's going to dominate our show for quite some time in the off season. Let's finish on a high note here, on a fun note. What are you most excited to do? It could be a hobby. It could be an everyday thing. It could be a one-time thing. It could be a trip. Like, what's one thing on the Jon Berti bucket list that you feel like you haven't been able to do yet, but you're going to do it?
Well, bucket list wise, I would say I'm going to go vacation at some point to Italy. So, for the homeland, for my WBC brothers. But I've gotten back into hockey. So I've been I bought all new goalie gear and been playing in a summer league. So that's been a big hobby of mine. That was my other sport growing up. And so it's been awesome to get back on the ice and still compete and have some fun doing it.
Love that. So you're going to get in a league?
But yeah. Oh yeah. So good old beer league,
Make sure someone takes the video. I want to see highlights.
That's the first person on FT that's ever said that, coming on after they quit or retired, whichever words you want to use, and said, I'm going to go play hockey.
Yeah. That was my other sport growing up. I loved it. It was a tough decision from high school, which one I was going to pursue. And so a couple buddies texted me. They wanted me to come play on their summer baseball, just adult men's league. And I was like, I'm not a baseball player anymore. I'm a hockey player.
Don't do it, John. Do not do it. You have nothing to win by doing that.
It's a lose-lose unless I hit 4, 500-foot homers.
Every game. but you have to do that
Yeah.
every game, or else they're going to be like, "Oh, this guy's just as good.
This guy's
I
terrible.
could have been him
I
back
got a
in high
big leaguer
school,
out. He's not that good.
but you know, I hurt my arm back in damn. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's fine though. I'm a hockey player now. It's no big deal.
you should get in Justin Morneau's hockey up there in Minnesota, where he does this.
I've heard
thing in his
of
backyard.
it. So I gotta get the rust off a little bit before I try to go down that path, because I'm sure he's real good.
All right. Well, next time you come on, we'll ask you about the hockey excursion with the beer league. So have fun, dude. Congratulations on an awesome career. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, what's up, SeatGeek? What do we have for the weekend? Let's look at some seats that we would like to acquire this weekend on the SeatGeek app. There's some good matchups coming up this weekend. I know we've already talked about Yanks Red Sox a bit, but let's go over a few others. Who wants to throw one out there first?
I mean, I'm going to be in New York, so Yankees Red Sox. I'm all about Yankees Red Sox.
So that's you.
Sorry, Red Sox Yankees, depending on which way you want to call it.
Sure.
We can tell who you like the most. Yep. We can tell. Homer, Yankees fan. Just so Red Sox fans know, AJ Pierzynski.
I would go with no on that one, Kratzy. I would go no on that one.
He was born in New York, so clearly, which he claims all the time. I mean, Milwaukee in. Do they leave the Brewers now? Where does Milwaukee go? I'm trying to think. Now I'm blanking.
Aren't they playing the Mariners?
Yeah, but is it home or no? It's in Seattle this weekend.
Okay. So what's
I'm not
your question?
refreshing. My
right,
screen's not
let me
refreshing.
do this since I did my
Anyways,
homework.
I want to
okay?
go see Skubal pitch tomorrow night in Detroit. How about that? I want
That's
to
a
go to that
great
one.
one.
I want to
Great
go to
one.
that one.
Great
already
seed
bought
on
tickets for that
Skubal
one.
in Detroit. Miz against Shane McClanahan. Or no, sorry.
No.
Sorry, not Miz. Mize. Casey Mize is coming back from the whole slip the other day. Shane McClanahan, Padres race, good playoff implications there, especially for San Diego. It's Hancock and Cease on Friday in Toronto. I'm mixing up all the matchups. It's Toronto and Seattle in Toronto. Rangers and Brewers, which again has many playoff implications. Brewers now 6.5 games clear of the Cubs in the division, but the Rangers need to put some wins together if they want to keep the AL West alive. So just get rid of the first 30 seconds of us just coming up with random matchups that didn't exist and listen to the last minute. What?
Which ones?
Why are you giving me a face?
We didn't lie.
Yeah. White Sox
I got
Twins.
my matchup right.
No, I know. Twins. Hey, Walker Jenkins, 4-11 in August, home run every other game the last 2 weeks. It would be cool if you call him up because you kind of need him. But that's just me. 10% off MLB tickets on SeatGeek using the code Territory10. Click the link in the description of this episode if you'd like to save that little code and use it another time, or use it tonight, this weekend. Go hit a game. Have fun. Nobody won.
Wow.
Take
By the
one
way-
day off.
No, mine was
Yeah.
confused. I had Sean Burke over 5.5 walks.
That would have been a big payday.
Walks.
5.5 walks. Wow, AJ, that is special. I did not see that one in the BetMGM app. I saw the strikeouts. It did not hit. So 0-for-3 yesterday from the 3 hosts. Well, 2 hosts and a pap. Here's updated money back. Still plenty of green on the screen. And AJ, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. I'm going. The Miz is pitching 8+ Ks tonight, and Dodgers and Braves. This number's tiny in the chop house tonight. I know it's Yamamoto versus Sale, but 6.5 runs.
That's
I'm sitting here-
unbelievable.
That's such a low number. I'm going that for my parlay plus 177.
Nice.
Lock.
Okay. Kratz?
For sure. I'm going to the Yankees Astros. The Yankees have to figure out how to beat the Astros in the playoffs, but right now this is a regular season game. You got Wisniewski and Cole pitching. We're going 5 punch-outs for Cole. He has been on fire with his 5 punch-outs. I forget how many in a row it's been. And we're going with Wisniewski, who's thrown 5 outings since he's been back. And every one of them has been 4 or more strikeouts. And that's given us a plus 105 bet. We're starting with $20 today, and we're pushing it all the way to 1,000.
Ooh. The ladder challenge. Follow Kratz. He's done it well. How many have hit the ladders? 2? Have you gotten 2 this year?
Just one. I failed on 4 of them now. So I feel like that's a good number. If you figure out your math, 1,000 to 150 to 1,000, pretty good.
Yes, still good. It sounds weird, but look it up. Google ladder challenge if you need more info on that. And then for me, I'll stay on that Yankees Astros game, and there's been some run scoring. The overs hit. I'm going to take the under, though. The Yankees under has been in the last, month and a half, 2 months, fire. I mean, so many under hits in their games that they're playing where the pitching's good. They've got the league best pitching in ERA, and then the offense hasn't been the same. I know there's been some run scoring in this series, but I think it'll cool off with Cole and Wisniewski. I think the Astros have the big boys saved up, right? Like Hader didn't pitch yesterday, Abreu, etc. So I think this one could be lower scoring, so I'll take the under on it. It's at 8 runs. I'll go 102 to win 100, and you might be able to add something to your bet if you go on the BetMGM app and you play that little game called BetMGM Swing for the Fences, a daily shot to win a prize like an odds boost token, parlay boost token, $50 bonus bet. I've done that before. So home run, single, double, triple, you know the deal. Get a hit and get a prize. Something to use within the BetMGM app. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hey, AJ, can you see that little graphic we pulled from the White Sox? Yeah, what does it say?
Players with homers in 5 straight games for the White Sox.
Notice anything?
Tristian Peters and Murakami have done it this year.
Greg Luzinski.
Yep. Ron Kittle.
Ron Kittle.
Frank Thomas. Paul Konerko did it 2011. I was there, but I don't remember it.
Carlos Lee. AJ.
One of Ozzy's favorites.
AJ had 27 homers that year in 2012 when AJ did it.
Yep.
Guess how many Tristian Peters has?
27.
12. And you have 5
so he's done it all in
straight
these last 5 games.
with a home run is the craziness of stats for sure.
It is. We might have Sam Antonacci on next week, so just a little sneak peek of how he talks. He was asked about DHing. He said, "Oh, so fun. Legs are fresh. Don't have to run in and out of the field. Don't have to interact with anybody. You get to swing all the time, too. My swing felt good because I took so many swings. Do it regularly. That will definitely be the last time." Great quote. James Fegan posted it.
Last time until the next time they need him to DH.
Exactly. Oh, one more. Can we show the other tweet before we get back from break? For AJ? You'll like this one.
What else have I done? I got one of those.
Yeah,
I was the first.
Hat. You were the
I
first.
was the first.
And the latest, that hat, the giveaway from the other night, has made it to the Vatican.
Hey, I know that guy.
You do know him, and he knows you.
No, I know both those guys actually. Father Tom McCarthy and the Pope. So I know both those guys.
You're buddies, right?
Yeah, they're my pals.
Yeah.
Besties.
AJ's besties. They got the giveaway. Great story. So
I was the first one, though.
Minute.
I was the first one to have one. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, we saw the pictures. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Dodgers and Braves that AJ will be calling this evening. Good series, Dodgers, Braves, and you're going to hear AJ calling the finisher of this one. The last game of the series will feature a massive, massive pitching matchup, Yamamoto and Chris Sale. Before we get to that, AJ, are you guys going to talk pretty early in the game broadcast, or maybe even in the open, about Ha-Seong Kim and his walk-off, his moment?
And his knock he got yesterday to win the game.
Yeah.
I have buddies that are Braves fans who are like, that was our $20 million hit yesterday right there. I was like, well, that's harsh, but maybe true.
He doesn't have many.
No. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come up. It'll come up in the open, as you guys know, because we kind of do a recap of the first two games. And by the way, the Braves are 4-1 against the Dodgers this year. They have this little. They're kind of dominating them, and tonight is just intriguing pitching matchup as it gets. I mean, Kenny Albert and I will get to talk about Yamamoto versus Chris Sale. And you want you want two aces. You want to watch a great pitching matchup. You want to watch two first place teams, Fox 1, FS1 tonight. Both is where you can watch this game. It's going to be awesome. And you know the best part, you guys are not going to. You guys will be like, oh, the hitters, the weather. It rained this morning in Atlanta, so instead of it being 138 degrees, it's going to be nice, like 78.
Ooh. That's actually rare for this time of year. I have a good stat for you. Do you have to mix this in? Do you know the last day that Ha-Seong Kim had a hit? Like what date it was on the calendar? And I know, there's a gap here, of course, right? So he's only made 4 appearances. Yep, 4 appearances so far in August. And then he wasn't in there in July. So I mean, I guess I'm kind of helping you out here. I'll just say it. June 3rd,
Wow.
3rd, he had a knock, went 1 for 4 against Toronto. And then before that, didn't have a knock in mid-May. I mean, we're talking about
He gets a hit a month.
He gets a hit a month. 6 for 77, 6 hits and 77 at-bats. Ha-Seong Kim. I mean,
that doesn't seem good.
His slash line is 078, and I know it's a small sample. 174 OBP, 078 slug for a 252 OPS. He is the definition of kids watch the movie Space Jam and they just sucked the superpowers out. They lost it. The Monstars stole their superpowers. Like Kim went from a solid major league player to cannot find a hit. And you can see it here on the numbers. AJ, guess what? He's still in the big league club. He's making $20 million this year. And if he suddenly finds it over the next few weeks, they won't give a crap about what happened over the last few months.
You know who's mad about that hit last night?
Who?
Erik Kratz, because he might have just made him go from 5th to 4th on that list we showed yesterday of like the worst seasons. What was it, Kratzy?
No, I still have a solid commanding lead, and I still have my extra base hits, and
That's right. I forgot about those extra base hits.
You know what people don't understand, Scott, you kind of hit on it. Yeah, he's 0 for 27, and people be like, oh, 27 at-bats. Like, a lot of players can say they were 0 for 20-something. It's the length of time since his last hit. And last night's hit, while they show a picture of him smiling, I promise, inside he's not smiling. He knows he just raised his average to 0.77 or whatever it was. Like,
no,
I've been through it.
He's smiling.
Oh, he's smiling, but he's not. He still knows he's having a terrible season, and he still knows that his, like, you just question yourself. That season for me, I went to 2 different teams, and I started both teams out. It was now I'm debating. No, it was the Pirates and the Astros. I started both teams out 0 for 15, and I got a hit in my 16th at bat for both teams. Like, you can't make that up. You can't put that out there as something that it's not. Like, it sucks. It is the worst. And so I hope Kim goes 4 for 4 tonight. I'm not doubting he's playing, but I hope he goes 4 for 4 tonight, because I would never wish that on anybody.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you one thing, AJ. He can't bring his friends into the food room.
I'm gonna ask that tonight when I see him.
If he's gonna be in there, yeah, I think I think that's fair. I don't think they're looking for a soft landing. I don't think he's getting any preferential treatment. But you know what's crazy is the fact that he may not have been a $20 million player because he was probably looking more at like a 25 two-year deal, and he kind of bet on himself for the 1-year deal. And the Braves were like, yeah, $20 million. It's not like this dude was like a $6 million like veteran pickup. Like this was a big pickup for a bridge contract, bet on yourself type of contract, and it just hasn't happened this year.
No, it hasn't. I'm just a believer though, where it's like this guy was good not long ago, and I know he's been through a few injuries. It's like I don't know. It's just the kind of guy in my mind, AJ, where suddenly he can go from you don't belong in any pro ball to wait, he's kind of back. He can help the team. Like give credit if you're the Braves, you've been able to let him kind of figure it out, both from a health standpoint and then in the bigs. I'm not saying he's good suddenly now, but you have at least put him in a position where you're like, yeah, you're here. He talked yesterday about how he's appreciated the support because this is like in almost any other scenario, a case where the team would be like, see ya. Yeah, of course. So it's a cool story. I hope he just suddenly crushed it. 2-out single for him in the bottom of the 9th. First hit in months. And now the Braves are 2 games back of the Dodgers for second best record in the National League. Why is that important? Because the top 2 teams receive a bye. That used to not be cool. Now it's super cool. So I'm sure the Braves would love to line up their pitching in the postseason, cool, and that's Scott. Why this game matters. Well, I'm again being sarcastic because there was one season where apparently it wasn't cool because there was the rest versus rust conversation. We've gotten rid of that because teams have taken advantage of it since.
Yes.
And because players have talked about it and put common sense out there rather than idiotic people who are like, nope, want to stay playing. Said nobody ever after 162 games. You want that break.
Hey, one injury note. Roki Sasaki, injured list, blister.
I'll tell you how he got the blister.
What?
Having to reach into that highlight Cessna he uses as a glove every time he caught a finger on it. Have you seen how big his glove is?
Yeah,
I heard
someone.
I think last night Frenchie and CJ were talking about it on the Braves broadcast, and they were saying which glove is bigger, the one in San Francisco in left field or Roki Sasaki's glove he uses.
I wonder if anybody's looked at the actual. What are the rules? Is there a rule? Like obviously you can't use a catcher's mitt at any other position. You can't use a first baseman's mitt past a certain size behind the dish. Like I know, and I didn't know those rules until I had to catch a knuckleballer and I used the first baseman's mitt, and they were like, well, you got to make sure it's not over 17 inches. I wonder if there's a rule for the pitcher and the size of glove you can have, because they are testing the limit. That is for sure. It looks almost AI. It looks comical.
You know the ones that they have in the outfield? Some people bring those crazy big ones.
Yeah.
Oversized
they had the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm. That's Roki for you. Hey, I mean, it's helped him, or at least even if it's a mental thing. I mean, there were claims that, yeah, exactly. He was tipping and people could see through the glove and all that, but he could be a big factor if he comes back.
You need the Hubble telescope to see through that glove he's got now.
I agree. He might be a big deal for them in the postseason. I mean, that was one of the more unlikely stories last year, don't you think, AJ? We're watching him and you're like, oh man, this guy's not having a good first year.
Well, you know what he could do? He figured out how to throw a split over the plate. That's what was the difference in the bullpen.
That's what Verducci was talking to you guys. Right. And that's what Verducci was talking to you guys about yesterday. Remember, he's like, Diaz in his mind has to earn the roll back. He can't land his slider for strikes, and they're just torching his heater. No, you don't think he has to earn it? I don't
agree that he has to earn it back. I definitely don't agree with the soft landing. I think it was Cody Allen that talked about it on KP's podcast. Like the adrenaline is what closers live on. Like if you got to throw him in the 7th or 8th inning, is he really that guy? Is he really like the guy that you're going to get once you throw him in the 9th? I don't know. I mean, he's got to earn his way back. I shouldn't have said no. I don't think he's got to earn his way back. But right now, it's not like Tanner Scott's like my job. So Roki's like, I'll take a 15-day break, get my blister healed up. You can just bring me back in the bullpen, and we'll be good to go through the postseason.
I know every situation is different, but I mean, the Dodgers do this. It's like any issue, immediate IL, right, AJ? And then,
Mhm.
I don't know a ton about the situation, but Bryce Miller's going through some things. It just feels like if someone like that's on the Dodgers, they just IL him. And it's not really a knock on the Mariners because they're actually really good at keeping their pitchers on the mound. They've done it super well, going deep
But
into the playoffs, and most of their guys are on the mound this year.
But the Dodgers are really good. I'll tell you what the Dodgers are really good at: depth. They have depth. So when they're like, "Hey, we need 10 days," okay, we'll give you 10 days, Rookie, to get your finger fixed, and then we'll see you then, because we have 7 other starters on any other team that would be, guaranteed to be in the rotation. So we're fine. That's kind of what the Dodgers have done. That's what they've learned.
That's why it was one of my two main locks to start the year. The Dodgers under 103.5 wins. Like, it's not that it's so hard. I think the Dodgers could do it if they were like, hey, we get a bye to the NLCS if we win 105 games. I think they could do it. I just don't think that they feel the benefit of winning so many games, because they are going to win the division. They want to make sure they get that bye, which the Braves they're creeping right now, but the Braves have to play well to get there. I just think they know how to do this, and they have the depth, but they're also not playing that panic game of we got to win every night.
Mm-hmm. And you can watch that game, the final game of the Dodgers-Braves series, tonight on FS1 and on the Fox One app. AJ will be part of it. AJ, who's on with you, by the way?
Kenny Albert.
Nice. Okay. Kenny Albert.
Tonight and Saturday in New York.
Oh, cool. Okay. So, yeah, AJ and Kenny, and then the other Kenny Rosenthal, also on Saturday's broadcast. That's right.
And Wayno.
2026 World Series, of course, is live on that Fox One app, at home or on the go, live or on demand. Never miss a moment. Stream now. Start your Fox One 3-day free trial today at fox1.com. Hey, Jake Mintz put together roughly what every pro scouting department looks like. He said, asking around, going through media guides, trying to do the best that he can. He said, these are not exact. Some teams like Milwaukee use the same people for the amateur pro side, but he said, hopefully this is instructive. Just for the podcast crowd, I'll point out a couple zeros. The Braves, the Marlins, and the Nationals have 0 on this list. Twins 1, Brewers 2, and then on the other end, the Rays lead the charge here. 18 people in their pro scouting department. Padres at 16, Royals at 16, Dodgers at 16, Diamondbacks at 13. AJ, it's kind of a random list.
Can I just say this? Houston's a 0, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What team, they just fired their GM. What was the biggest complaint from Astros fans? They didn't make good trades. Well, they have 0 scouts in their pro scouting department. When you trade for pro guys. Who's the one team that everyone says, don't trade with them, because if you trade with them, they're going to get someone? Who's that? Tampa Bay. And they have the most. It's amazing. The Dodgers have a ton. They make great trades, right? The Padres, they love to make trades, right? The Yankees, they don't make the big trades, but they always find those bullpen guys that could be diamonds in the rough. Look at what Blackburn's doing for them this year, right? I don't know. It doesn't seem like rocket science to me, but I don't know. If you have more eyes on things, it seems like you should be able to get more right.
Braves is the shocker for me, Kratz. Braves have 0?
It really is. And that's what I'm questioning. I actually just texted my buddy who I'm going to test the number that is on there, because it's not a 100% accurate number. Not everybody keeps track of everything, but like for me, the Braves, because when you look across the number, if you bring that back up, you look across, and the Royals have, I thought it was 11 or 14, 16 for the Royals. Well, they learned everything that they do. Same regime, same people from the Braves. So I'm just wondering exactly how. Yeah, I'm just wondering exactly where they're getting these numbers from the media guide, because I know different teams run different things. And are you still a scout if you watch from your home on video, if they just don't want you to travel? Like, I don't know.
Hey, we're back on FT with Britt Ghiroli joining us from The Athletic, and you can see her sometimes on FT, like when I'm out. Appreciate you, Britt. Always good to see you. And we want to get right to a huge story. I mean, this is the one that fans are asking us the most about right now. And we actually spoke to your colleague, Melody Gutierrez, the other day. We wanted to get your thoughts here on the reporting you've been doing too. So in The Athletic, what's next for Mark Walter and the Dodgers? 5 key questions. We'll dive into that story. Can we go backwards, I guess, or go through the recent events of the statement from his holding co and what you learned from that?
Yeah, pretty strong statements, guys. First of all, thanks for the cool graphic. I feel like I've made it. I got the cool graphic introducing me on FT. But I think that a couple things. One, if something happens, it's going to look really foolish, I guess, for lack of a better word, because of how strong they were on we're not selling the Dodgers. Nothing is wrong. Nobody was harmed, I thought was the weirdest part of that statement. But it was very strong and very long and made it very clear that Mark Walter has no interest in selling the Dodgers, which we've heard before from Stan Kasten, who spoke to reporters and said that same thing twice. So where we stand now, of course, is the federal probe is continuing. And we kind of are in a little bit of wait and see mode. Like, does Walter sell a stake in another sports partnership? And I'm not talking about the Dodgers per se. I'm talking about Chelsea or F1 or any of these other teams. He has a pretty vast sports portfolio. We're in a little bit of wait and see mode, but this is tangled and it's going to take a while for people to parse through everything that's going on, everyone that is involved. This is not going to go away anytime soon. And I think when the dust settles, the next question will be, well, what will MLB do? Will they investigate this? Will they have to look into this? So we're like at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this story.
Yeah, and just for context here too, and I know Fabian Ardaya also wrote about this the other day, your colleague at The Athletic, in regards to the statement that came out from TWG Global. There's been no fraud. That was in the statement as well. Like, sure, I mean, technically there's no fraud charge, I guess, right now, but a year ago, Mark Walter, this is the owner of the Dodgers, had his phone and his laptop seized by the FBI. Usually that's not a great thing. And not much has come out, and it's going to trickle out over time here. But it does at least appear that they're being investigated for these investments through the insurance companies. And we got into this with Melody the other day. I know it starts to get kind of complicated to understand for us, and I'm sure for others, but like, this isn't nothing. So I just want to make sure that's clear too, right? Like, FBI investigation, sold the Lakers, maybe not selling the Dodgers. That's okay, right? Where baseball fans are like, how does this affect us? But it's not nothing.
Yeah, it's not nothing, and money is fungible. So the claim that this doesn't affect the Dodgers, I think, is like borderline impossible to make, because we know about the loans for Dodger tickets that was listed on one of the insurance companies. We know about all these different shell companies. We know that Mark Walter, who owns the majority of the Dodgers, is being investigated for allegedly self-dealing. So it is impossible to say, well, all the Dodgers money is clean, or none of that is impacted. I think what's getting confusing for people is, like, yes, this does implicate the Dodgers. They are impacted on one hand. On the other hand, I do believe what Stan Kasten said, in that their revenue is the best in baseball and that they could sustain the payroll and all those deferrals alone based on their revenue and what they make. I think that's also true. But to make the claim this doesn't involve the Dodgers, I think just doesn't make any sense. I think where people get confused is like, oh, the Dodgers are spending all this money they don't have, or they're cheating to win. And I don't think that's necessarily something you can say, certainly not right now. I don't think that's accurate. I do think the Dodgers could stand alone, and that's not the question. The question is, what funds did he use to buy this team? What funds has he been using for not just the team, but the subsidiaries like Dodgers tickets? Those are the questions. Like, was he self-dealing? Not whether the Dodgers can be profitable on their own.
And I know this came from a different publication, but there was a Puck report that was referred to in this Athletic article that stated that Mark Walter, offered to get out of the Dodgers and Lakers sweetheart television deal with Charter Communications early in exchange for money, which was disputed actually by TWG. So, okay, but I mean, reputable spot coming out with that. There's a little bit of he said, she said. Again, like if there's any semblance of truth to that's pretty juicy there. Again, that's a cash flow thing that gets at least dissected by people like us.
Yeah, we know a few things, right? We know that he's in a little bit of a liquidity crunch and he has to move roughly $21 billion off the books by the end of the year. Like these are things that we know. Like we couldn't confirm the TV thing. Did it happen? Did it not happen? Were talks informal? Were they so preliminary that, they could go on the record and say this didn't happen and it's technically true, right? We're in a lot of gray area. I don't know. There's a lot we don't know, but we do know that he sold the Lakers. We do know that he needs to move a lot of money. And to do that, you need lump sums of cash. And that's why the Dodgers have been tied into this because, of course, he owns 27%, the majority of a very profitable Dodgers organization.
Is it true? Because when I looked into other situations like this outside of sports, is it true that he could just let this hang up in litigation for 5 years and we could be hanging on to this, which would almost end the Shohei Ohtani contract at the end of 5 years when these things go for 5 years in other cases?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with super rich, super wealthy people, right? Is it feels like those people have a different set of rules at times, and that certainly could be the case here. It could drag on for a very long time. It could end up being settled in court. That those things could happen. Like I said, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg in terms of like what we know about this. We don't know the depth of the probe. We don't know the scope of the probe. We don't know what the feds exactly what they're doing or what they're looking into. This is still going on. This is still active. But this could be a multi-year thing. This could be something hanging over the Dodgers for quite a while. And that's where I start to wonder, is MLB going to be okay with that? Are they going to start investigating on their own? Typically, they wait until the federal investigation is over. But if this is something that like will not go away, does that change the calculus a little bit? I don't know. But it's fascinating to think. And it's also interesting because he already got out from under the Lakers deal. So the NBA doesn't have to worry about this at all. He's already out. He's already selling the team. It's just now MLB that's going to have to deal with this big question mark from one of the most prominent owners of one of the most prominent franchises in baseball.
And when it comes to MLB investigating at some point, I do want to state a fact here, and I always value that we're able to do this on our platform. Same thing on the Athletics platform, right? The bosses of each league here, and I'm talking about MLB and then even beyond NBA, like are the owners of the team, right? So there is a fine line when you are punishing, or forget punishing, even just looking into something. Like this is one of Rob Manfred's bosses. He has 30 bosses. This is one of them. And this isn't just a Manfred or MLB thing, right? Like we haven't touched on here, it's a baseball show, but in the basketball world, Kawhi Leonard and that whole Clippers investigation with Steve Ballmer and all of that. And part of me looks at that story and I'm like, yeah, this is one of the bosses of the NBA. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So how does that factor into this conversation here where I'll give you one more example before you chime in. The Astros, right? We had the scandal from almost 10 years ago at this point. Players had their own world where they couldn't really get punished under the stipulations. And then the Astros got punished, but most people felt it was light. Well, guess what? Jim Creighton's one of the bosses of Major League Baseball.
Right. I think it's difficult because, like you said, there is that boss structure. But also, if you look historically, it's very difficult, and MLB really hasn't forced any team to sell. The closest example were the McCourts, the previous owners of the Dodgers, and that team was placed into bankruptcy so they could sell. So there's not a whole lot of precedent for like kind of pushing or pressuring an ownership group to sell. And as we talk about other examples in sports, look at DC, look at how long it took the Washington Commanders to get Dan Snyder out of town. That was years and years for that to happen. So I don't think that that's like a likely scenario at all, especially at this point where we really don't know much. And really right now, I don't think MLB would even look into things or try to look into things until the federal investigation was over. But yes, the power structure is such that it would be incredibly difficult. And I think it would only be a scenario where, like the McCourts, the Dodgers can't pay their bills, right? This is what drove the McCourt situation, is that MLB was about to be on the hook for the Dodgers payroll. That's what became all of a sudden a dire situation where they had to send people in there. And until that happens, I just don't think there's a whole lot of things incentivizing the league to take over.
Britt, is this the thing that finally gets Shohei to opt out of his contract? If
No.
if Mark Walter, no, because he has the clause, right? The clause, if Walter sells the team, or if Andrew Friedman is gone, he can opt out. So is this the thing he's going to look at and say, man, I don't want to be involved with anything that might be construed as illegal, I'm going to opt out?
I doubt it. I was talking to a prominent agent about this, and if you actually read the clause, it says like Mark Walter, if he like is removed or something like that, if he voluntarily sells, let's say hypothetically, if he voluntarily sells out of his ownership stake, I don't know if that's enough to trigger that clause the way it is written. And also, where else you going right now where you think it's more stable or better? You have a better chance of winning the World Series. It does seem like Ohtani genuinely cares about winning. So I don't think this is a situation where Ohtani's going to be like, oh, forget it. I think Friedman is more closely tied to Ohtani's interests than a guy like Mark Walter. Sure, they've put money up and now we're unsure about kind of what the future is with them. But, if you talk to other agents, they're not entirely certain if Walter was to sell even some of his shares, if that would be enough for Ohtani's camp to trigger it and be like, no, we're out now.
Ohtani seems pretty happy where he's at. And you've seen the other
Yeah.
side too. I mean, he didn't make the playoffs in Anaheim. He's got a couple rings right now. I think he's a happy guy. I'm with you. Question for you on the reporting side and really the journalism side of things, Britt. How difficult is this story to report on? I mean, it must be tough to get details when it's the feds, MLB's not putting anything out there. You're certainly not going to get anything from an owner, right? Owners barely speak in general about anything. So I'm just curious, like I have kind of like, I feel for you here when I'm seeing it on our side. Fans really want information on this. And there are people on social media not tied to anything that can just throw random crap out there. And that's the part I get, where TWG puts out this huge statement. They're pissed. They're probably seeing stuff go viral left and right, and some of it's completely BS. So from your perspective, like you work for The Athletic and the New York Times, how hard is it to sift through this?
It's incredibly difficult because in cases like this, also, guys, even when you get people to talk, nobody wants to use their name. Everyone wants to be anonymous. And the bar to use anonymous sourcing is so very high at a place like the New York Times. And as it should be, because you're giving people a cover to lie, right? Your name is not associated with. It's very different than me saying Britt Ghiroli said something versus like an anonymous journalist at The Athletic said something. You're going to be a little stronger when you have that cloak of anonymity. So this is difficult. I was late signing on today because I was on the phone with someone, and you're just constantly working the phones, but in a different way, because this isn't necessarily a baseball story. This is a financial story. So now you find yourself like a little fish out of water, one, trying to understand how this works. I spent a lot of time on the phone with people in that world. Explain this to me like I'm 5 years old. And part of the reason Melody and I wrote that explainer in that 5 questions is because both of us were like, this is so much for us to wrap our heads around, and we're reporting it. What do you think the average baseball fan is? They are probably confused, which is why we kind of wrote a nuts and bolts explainer trying to kind of answer people's questions in more layman terms. Because if you're not in that world, it's very confusing what happened. It's very confusing, like why this was wrong and related party transactions. And so you're dealing with that as well. So a lot of this, I think, is difficult because it's not a baseball story. And then certainly, as you mentioned, the feds and certain bars there. And also, guys, you want to be right. And this is so much of our business is like being first. And, I've never really subscribed to that. I think if you are right, and you collect the details and you take your time, it will always have more impact than someone who's only half right and wants to race, particularly in this scenario when you're talking about such big, important people in this ecosystem, you better make sure you're right. You better double check, you better triple check. So single source stuff, none of that makes it into any story on The Athletic. You need to have 3, 4, sometimes even more people telling you that same thing for you to feel confident enough to report it. So it's a challenge. There's plenty more coming from The Athletic, not just from myself and Melody, from many other of our great writers at The Athletic. And just know that it is a high bar to cross every time you see a story on this.
Okay, Britt, give it to me. I'm a 5-year-old. Explain it because I don't understand. So give me the short version.
Here's like how I would explain it to maybe not my 5-year-old, but how to explain to someone who didn't know anything is allegedly they're looking into whether or not he was self-dealing. He borrowed money from companies and he took that money and gave it to other businesses that were supposed to pay it back with interest, except he also owned those businesses. So it's a very circular thing. Basically, it is whether or not he has been self-dealing. And you can self-deal a little bit, like 3%, but he self-dealt closer to 50% and they didn't report it. So I think that makes sense, right? Like in that tiny little vacuum before you get too into the details, that's what's going on. Mark Walter was taking money from Mark Walter companies and then loaning it to other Mark Walter companies. One big circle. Does that help?
Got it. Yeah. So don't deal to myself. Okay. Got it.
Yes. Do not open a shell AJ Pierzynski company and then loan it to yourself with interest. And then also it's other people's money too. So it's like I give AJ Fixed Bicycles. I give you $5, to keep my bicycle safe. And what you do with that $5 is you put it in another company owned by AJ, and you're not actually watching my bicycles or my money anymore. So that's the other.
That sounds great for me.
So that does sound great for you. And that's how you are able to afford all this cool stuff that you couldn't afford otherwise.
Hey, okay. This is our last question, Britton. I don't even know if you know the answer to this. Will he, because of this, have to open his golf course up to the public? Because he does have a golf course that's only like 20 people have ever played. It has rhinoceroses on it and giraffes on it. I mean, will he have to open that up to the public so people like me, schmucks like me, can play next to the rhinos?
It feels like a really self-interest question. I didn't even know that the golf course existed.
It's a big deal.
I'm gonna go with no. I think when he's looking at moving billions of dollars, opening the golf course to people like you, I assume are not going to be paying, large lump sums to get in, large relatively to what he is thinking. Probably not going to happen. I think you should just open your own golf course. You're making that foul territory money. Get some rhinoceroses.
Yeah, Brett, I wish that I had my own golf. I'm not Mike Trout. I can't have my own golf course. Mike Trout doesn't even have rhinos on his golf course.
No, only Pablo Escobar has had the hippos in Colombia. I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
We're at that status. Yes,
I'm no Pablo Escobar.
Yes, it was a completely self-serving question. AJ has played in some of the most incredible golf courses across the globe, but this one, not yet. So
nobody can get on it. Okay, real quick. So we actually flew over it. When I went to Scotland, we flew over it because it's right by Jacksonville, and I left from Jacksonville. And so my buddy, he's like, hey, out the window, he's like, look, that's the I think it's called White Oak. He's like, there's White Oak. And there's multiple golf courses, and one is kind of open to the public, but Mark Walter has one just for him. And literally there's like 10 people on earth that have ever played this golf course.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I can't imagine that he would open said golf course, unfortunately. No, I didn't even know this existed. But
I'm going to have to ask Dave Roberts today if he can get me on when I see him. I'll be like, Dave.
This is probably not the time to ask Dave Roberts if you can get on that golf course.
Why not? Dave and I are pals.
I say ask.
Probably not the time.
Brett, I don't know if you noticed, AJ's not shy, not afraid to ask just about anything. But good. I'm glad we somehow were able to end on a fun note here and take this to golf. Very fitting. Brett, thank you. Great reporting, though, and very helpful for the crowd to learn. There is a high demand for the crowd to learn about this. So appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
I find it very hard to believe that Jeff Bagwell would want the responsibilities of being a full-time general manager.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. I don't see any reason, one, why you would want to do that.
And I mean, there's been no indication that that is something that he desires to do.
I don't think it can be overstated like how big of a job this is. This is not just going and signing guys in the offseason or making trades or deciding when to call guys up. You're responsible for an entire organization. And bear in mind, the Astros do not have a team president. Ever since Reed Ryan was let go a few years ago, they do not have a team president that kind of goes and talks from the business side, that is a conduit from Jim Crane to the fan base. Like, in this organization, the GM is the front face and responsible for everything, not just player acquisition and player evaluation. Like, this is a way more encompassing job. And I think you're seeing, Buster Posey in San Francisco, that's not going well, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, Buster has made some comments, to, I think, Britt Ghiroli in The Athletic had it, and he's made a comments a few times that he maybe underestimated the volume of things he has to deal with. A lot of it, coming off the field stuff, some stuff on like the business side. The Giants had the Pride Night controversy. They had Harrison Bader running his scooter into a fire truck. They've had a lot of other things happen off the field, and you are like, for a team that does not have a president, you are responsible for that. You are the front-facing member of this organization. I just cannot imagine that Jeff Bagwell wants that weight on his shoulders. And let's face it, he's got a pretty good gig right now.
Hump show with a twist. A mistake was made, a missed balk call, and the future MVP of the National League, Pete Crow-Armstrong, was very heated about the missed call, and then also a bad strike call later on, a couple innings later. That's Alfonso Marquez. Marquez did apologize post-game, so I want to give him credit for that. Ken Rosenthal gave him Dork of the Week, but also gave him credit for doing that. Let's get PCA's words post-game on what happened.
I saw 4 umpires miss a pretty obvious play. So they're out there every day just like we are. Their one job is to get calls right. And if they get it wrong, they're supposed to talk about it, figure it out, and get it right. And they didn't. I get it from Alfonso's point of view at home plate. Tough to see with 2 people standing in front of you and all you're trying to do is call the right pitch. But I don't know how you miss somebody starting their motion and then stopping it and stepping off. And I just don't know. So you'll have to talk to them.
Perfect answer. I just don't know. I don't know. I ask umpires that all the time. I just don't know. I don't know how you missed that. I don't know. I don't know how I swung and missed. I just don't know. Perfect answer.
4 guys to miss it. Obviously, Alfonso Marquez apologized and said they got it wrong, but I don't see. We had the same thing happen in a high school game with 2 umpires. They didn't see it. Okay, and their high school umpire, like, I don't see how it was missed, because like I would love to hear their explanation. Like, it's not a called pitch. He stepped off. If they think he stepped off, well, then he started his motion. And I just don't understand how PCA didn't get thrown out either. I mean, he was chirping them right there. And then he went back and started chirping one of the other umpires. I didn't see who it was. And he kind of waved him off too. He was pissed, rightly so. But It was crazy. I can't believe they missed it.
But that's again where I'm going to give credit. Two things happened. Yes, they messed up. Bad job. Two things happened post game. Apology / acknowledgement that they messed up, AJ, and they didn't boot PCA out of the game. People make mistakes. And yes, is it kind of crazy that Forum's made a mistake? Yes. Am I being too glass half full to actually point out that we at least had some accountability here and a feel for not throwing PCA out after you missed something?
I like that they didn't throw him out. They understood how mad he was, how important he was in that game, and they didn't throw him out. That was fine. I didn't have a problem. And you know who gets credit for this? Quentin Berry. He wasn't giving signs this time. He was actually giving signs to PCA to stay back and calm down. And Craig Counsell ran out there and did a great job of getting him to calm down. So listen, the missed calls happen. Missed calls happen all the time. Okay. So to say this, how did 4 people miss it? 4 people miss calls all the time. So they missed it. I mean, did it affect the game? I don't know. They lost 2-0. So even if that run scores is 2-1, they still lose. So I don't know. Sometimes we're a little harsh on umpires. They miss calls. They're human. I make mistakes sometimes.
We had like 60 people in Toronto forget how many outs there were a week and a half ago. 2 teams and umps, right? I mean, there's a lot of missing there.
Yeah.
On that series, by the way, Diamondbacks won the series. Big. Cubs had great pitching. Gausman, Holmes, like those look like some good pickups. We're going to be talking about those guys. On the other side, maybe all of the umps are just lost in the eyes of Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, how's this guy? 2.5 ERA, racking innings. He's at like 160 something. He's not striking dudes out at a high clip. It's very well below average there. Not even a high ground ball. It's just he's getting weak contact and he's hitting his spots. And he's doing it all year long for Arizona. I mean, that's the surprise of the season for them.
Not if you watch the WBC on Fox and Fox 1. Because he dealt during the WBC for Venezuela. So maybe the WBC can do good. Maybe it's not all terrible, the WBC.
Well, funny you mentioned that because the guy who was closing out the WBC has been hurt this year, and some people behind the scenes have blamed the WBC, not me. We've talked about that. Let's continue on this for a moment. Let's step aside for a quick sec. TV crowd's got to take a break. I mean, here's the other thing for the Cubs. They're now 6.5 back of the Brewers. I know they got as close as, what was it, 3 games maybe, AJ? Division's over.
Is it?
6.5 with a month to play in the NL Central and a good Brewers team.
No way. Ask the Tigers.
Different.
About what? Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Feels different to me.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you can't predict baseball, but feels done.
Okay, then it's over. Scott said it's over. Scott said it's over. It's over. Scott said it.
Make sure you let everyone know in Atlanta. It's over. NL Central is over.
I also said that Chris Sale stinks. Scott said Chris Sale stinks.
That's too far. I love Chris Sale, and he smells great. He has great deodorant. Anyway, the Kevin Gausman, Clay Holmes edition looking very nice right now for this team. I think they surprised a lot of people, right? You're like, are they going to do something big at the deadline? And remember, Jed Hoyer himself said, I'm not going to go crazy because we're not going to be a bye team. Well, he went against that. And then he ended up not getting 1, but 2 playoff starters. And it really worked. Look, those 3 had an 0-4-5 in this 3-game set. 8 hits in 20 innings. Yes, they dropped the series to the Diamondbacks, but just a good sign to see some starters like that. I know you guys, I don't even know if you mentioned it yesterday, but Ben Braun had a setback, which is bad. Ben Brown's got good stuff. He's a beast. I mean, he's had it. What is it? Chronic. Is it his back? Whatever it is, he's having problems. So he might not come back for them, but there are arms here.
I think it's one of the things that they needed to address, and they addressed it. So it makes the Cubs a good hitting team. Obviously, they didn't hit this series. Hitting goes in slumps. But to me, if I'm a Cubs fan, I am super juiced about what we just got out of 3 of our starting pitchers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and right now, too, they're going to go as PCA and Bregman go. And those two went 2 for 24 with an extra base hit. And PCA is the MVP of the National League. Bregman's been on fire, and they had a down series.
It happens.
It happens. Dansby will come back in a few weeks. This team looks pretty good. I like the Cubs.
We talked about it yesterday, Scott. Or was it 2 days ago with little Kenny? Cubs Brewers DS, baby. Let's go. Sign me up for that one.
Mm-hmm.
You just love to travel. You can get an Uber Black from Chicago to Milwaukee.
No, he's going to bite. All right, let's slap. We have a riveting update to the dump deadline. C. Trent Rosecrans, our buddy, FT fam, Riverfront Territory, and The Athletic covering the Cincinnati Reds. So we talked earlier about how Eugenio Suarez and TJ Friedl are on waivers. They cleared waivers. So they will be back with the team in Chicago on Friday. Nobody wanted them.
Well, all that talk we did for nothing.
Not for nothing. It was a good exercise. It's good exercise
exactly.
about what goes on in the front offices.
I just find it hard to believe that, I don't know Friedl, but more Suarez with the vibes he brings. $3 million. I'm sorry. It's a lot of money in the everyday world. It's not a lot of money in the baseball world. That's like nothing.
Gino can't hit a big homer in a big moment. Everybody's roster is perfect. Nobody has any depth concerns. Nobody needs a bat like that.
I'm pretty
Even
sure I
as a
saw him
backup.
hit a huge homer for the Mariners last year in the playoffs.
Oh, that was pretty decent.
Yeah. Has he had a bad year? Yes.
Is he a better option
Nobody
than
will.
what teams have? Yes.
Yes.
No. Because that would require them having some kid that's a rookie, and they have to tell, you're not our guy, and then we can't have that.
I mean, the Mariners kind of did that. Cole Young's been very good, and Colt Emerson didn't work out. You have multiple rookies that are starting in your middle infield. Pretty good chance one of them's going to have some growing pains. That's normal, especially nowadays when the gap between the major leagues and the minor leagues is, I'm being told, as big as ever. All right.
Yep.
Hey, we're back. We got 3 minutes on YouTube. Then AJ gets ready for his game, and we go on with our lives. Can we show the Phillies tweet from Mike Petriello? I thought this one was good to just show what's going on with this Phillies batting order and Luis Arraez joining the party. And this isn't his bread and butter, but I'm actually curious to get the lineup and protection in the lineup perspective from you guys. So Petriello said Phillies bats through the trade deadline. And this was a day or two ago. So grain of salt here, it might be 27th or whatever, or it might be second in walk percentage. But anyway, he said through the trade deadline, the Phillies were 28th in walk percentage. One of the worst teams in baseball at taking a walk, right? They don't do it often. Phillies bats since the trade deadline. And the only bat they picked up was Luis Arraez. They're now first in walk percentage over almost a month now, with their primary acquisition being a guy who does not like to walk, right? So Petriello was saying this sport rules sometimes. And then he said, a lot of this is just about Bryce Harper, who has doubled his walk percentage, 13 in July, 27 in August, mostly just seems to have stopped swinging. He said, protection isn't real, but it would be funny if Luis Arraez behind him meant that Harper wasn't being protected. So, I mean, Luis Arraez behind him, I will say, AJ, protection doesn't have to be, oh, here comes this feared slugger. I mean, protection could be, oh crap, just walked 2 of the first 3, and now the guy who makes contact is stepping up. Isn't that the concept here?
Yeah, it's just all about having somebody that can make you pay when you walk the guy in front of you. It doesn't have to be a slugger. It's just someone. Luis Suarez can get hits in big situations, and you walk Harper. Luis Suarez can get you a single and maybe a double. He's running some homers, but he can do some damage to keep the inning alive and to put more pressure on the pitcher. So it's not always about hitting homers. It's about what kind of presence do they have and what can they do to keep the innings going.
Yeah, protection is real. And the fact that he doesn't have protection behind him in Luis Suarez and what they're saying, that's why he's walking. The teams are looking at it and going, we're not going to let Bryce Harper, who's been swinging a hot bat, and it's not just the walks, we're not going to let him beat us. That, to me, that's what it looks like to me. Because they're saying we can somehow deal with Luis Suarez just getting a single. But it's been working out. I mean, obviously the team's been hot. They've been scoring runs, and that's the name of the game. Number 1 in walks, maybe now number 2. And they went to 30th in strikeouts during that time too. Like they just completely flipped what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. And I push this all the time.
Protection's real, Scott. Ask those sailors. Ask the sailors back in the day.
Sailing from port to port. There is, I don't know if Mike Petriello was being sarcastic that protection isn't real, but
he clearly wasn't a seaman.
On the topic of protection, this is me always trying to get us back. In the post,
we are on YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're just on YouTube, so no rules. In the postseason, yes, you can start to play music too. In the postseason, pitching is better, right? A guy like Luis Suarez sometimes can be the perfect ingredient for a team like the Phillies. Steven Kwan has been that guy in the past for the Guardians, and Jose Ramirez to an extent too. But when they try and pitch around, here's Kwan again, blue pit, right? It's hard to strike that guy out. It's going to be the same thing with Suarez. Is it going to change the complexion of the postseason for the Phillies? I don't know, but I sure think it helps based on what we've seen from them the last few years in their offense in the postseason.
Totally. But it's totally what we said before the trade deadline. The answers for the Phillies lineup were not Joe Adell, Byron Buxton, even Ward, who I thought they were going to go get Taylor Ward. It wasn't there. The answer was already on their team. Nice shirt. FoulTerritoryShop.com if you haven't seen Scotty's shirt, the Yandy Candy Diaz. Although I have to tell Sarah, I don't feel like the biceps are quite long enough on the shirt. Maybe we can get a larger shirt with longer biceps.
I like that idea. Yandy bicep shirt.
I'd buy 2.